Alright, today we're going to be doing a teardown of the Lepai LP-2020A Plus Digital Stereo Amplifier. And where I bought this thing, I think I paid about $23 for it or something like that. So it's a pretty cheap audio amplifier. It works reasonably well. One of the things that has gone wrong with it, and what I want to try to fix today, is that the volume knob is really scratchy. It makes an awful noise as you move it around. So I'm going to try to spray some contact cleaner in that and see if I can't fix that a little bit. If anybody's curious, the back of it has a left and right RCA inputs, a standard 3.5mm jack, the right and left speaker output, and a DC input, which is 12 volts at 2 amps. The other problem that I ran into with this amplifier is that the power supply that it came with broke, like physically broke. The pin that goes into the wall actually broke off of the power supply and got stuck into the wall. So that was not great. So anyway, moving on, the front of it, the power switch, this tone control switch which enables the treble and bass controls, and then the volume knob. And you may have seen when I turned that on, there's a blue ring of LEDs around the volume knob to let you know that it's on. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get this thing apart. Shouldn't be too bad. There's a total of 8 screws on this thing. I'm going to try to get the front panel off first. Screws are quite tight. And there we are. Alright, so on the inside of this guy, the main piece of the circuit board is going to be the TriPath, I believe it says LP2020A-020. And of course this thing gets its name LP2020A Plus from the chip inside of here. So other than this chip, pretty much everything on here is going to be supporting circuitry for this guy, because it's basically just an analog input and an analog output. That's all this thing does. So here we have some inductors and capacitors. Those form a low pass filter because this is going to be a digital audio amplifier, so I think it's class D. The main advantage to a class D amplifier like this is that they're more efficient. So this thing claims to be 20 watts RMS. I think people have done some testing on these amplifiers and they really don't get anywhere near 20 watts RMS, but they're not too bad in terms of power output. Of course, these things are cheap, and at least for me, it does a perfectly fine job with what I want it to do. But anyway, you can get away with a really small heatsink on here. This whole outside case is made of aluminum, but they're not using this for heat sinking at all. This isn't coupled in any way to the heatsink here, so this one's just kind of sitting in there. It never really seems to get all that hot either, so it seems to do just a fine job on that. And then over here we have 2 relays. I assume that's 1 per speaker, and these disable the output, and I believe that that is supposed to save your speakers or something like that. It's some kind of safety cutout. And other than that, there's not a whole lot on here, just some other random capacitors and mostly passive components that are there to make this chip work. There's a couple of little guys on here. I'm not real sure what they are or what they're doing. Let's see if I can read them. So these 2 little chips are marked 4558D, I believe. I'm gonna go ahead and look that up, see if I can't figure out what those guys are doing. All right, so those 4558 chips are just general purpose operational amplifiers. So I'm gonna guess that those are amplifying our input signal somehow. It looks like the input signal goes along the RCA connections and then into the volume control potentiometer though. These may be used to somehow amplify the signals from the tone control knobs as well, though I'm not really sure what they're using there. But those appear to be the only other 2 active chips on here besides our main one. There may be a couple of transistors in these packages down here, I guess, but no other ICs besides those 3. One other weird thing that I noticed about this is that it has a wire going from what I'm assuming is the ground plane, and then it's just soldered onto the outside case of the volume control knob. I'm guessing that's just on there to help with noise getting into the circuit. Though another thing with that is you would think if that was important to them, they would have the case grounded as well and just have the entire thing grounded out. So it doesn't look like there's any connections from that case to the circuit board. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get some contact cleaner and see if I can spray it up into this potentiometer and just kind of work it back and forth. Hopefully that'll help with the scratching sounds as I move this potentiometer. But anyway, I'm going to go do that and I'm going to put it back together. Alright, so I got it put back together and set back up, and spraying contact cleaner into that volume potentiometer pretty much completely eliminated the scratchiness with it. So that's fixed, at least for now. Anyway, that's about it for this video, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.